I've seen many brands doing millions in revenue on D2C Shopify or even big box retailers enter Amazon only for not only the Amazon channel to be a big failure in of itself, but actually bring their entire brand sales down. Let me show you in this video how to make Amazon one of your biggest channels rather than a huge problem for you. My name is Jasim. I'm the CEO and founder of Voadera. We do hundreds of millions of dollars on online marketplaces. Actually, here's one of the Amazon channels that we operate and our revenue over the last 30 days. And in this video, I'm gonna explain why your Amazon strategy and launch is so important as you enter that market, the 8 things that are crucial to set up appropriately when entering the Amazon marketplace, especially the 8 one. It's a deal breaker basically to getting that one right. And some of the things that I actually just spoke with the $50 million swimline brand last Friday about are in these concepts as well. The Amazon marketplace is very different than your D2C Shopify website or big box retailers or how you position your product there. There's many concepts that are extremely important to nail as you get into the Amazon channel, as you launch for Amazon, that I'll mention the 8 most important ones in today's video. But if you just go into Amazon flying blindly, you're going to fail miserably on there because there's 100 people teams. Like, this frustrates me a lot. You think you're just going to support your product on Amazon is going to win. There's 100 people teams that are Amazon native brands. One of them is, let's say, just Anchor. That are making their entire revenue off of Amazon. You think they're just going to let you beat you on indexing, ranking, all this kind of stuff as you get into it. They're obviously not. Even if you're a household name brand, we see so many household name brands get beaten by brands that know the technicality of Amazon well. But not only that, we've seen brands that actually launched on Amazon and hurt their other marketplaces. I'll mention the second point why this happened. Other marketplaces hurt the retail sales, so they actually brought their entire Amazon sales down because they didn't get this concept right. The first point is to plan strategically. You don't want to go into Amazon with a pray and spray mentality. You just put your products on there, whatever happens, happens. You're going to fail miserably. You're actually going to ruin your brand as a whole with that, right? Watching this video is a good start, right? You're gathering your intelligence, you're seeing what's out there, but you want to make sure that you have a long-term strategy for Amazon. You define your success metrics. What does success look like? Is it only to catch spillover, right? Or is it only that, okay, I'm defensive, I own my listings, I own my images, my creative, I'm not having someone random upload my pictures on Amazon? Or is it as a growth channel? Do you want to 10x your sales there or grow your pie of sales with Amazon? And to have someone that gets fired if things go wrong, right? If you're working with an internal employee, they own the success, and they obviously, if it goes well, they're getting paid really well. And that's what a lot of partners, for example, they come to us to own that channel, and success and failure lies completely on us, which thankfully we're averaging 34% year over year growth for a lot of our partner brands. So that's where you have a strategy, you have someone that owns it. You're not just going into it haphazardly because you can suffer immensely. We're just speaking to $50 to $100 million brand, and I was advising them in strategy. But basically, they were going to test out Amazon with some small products, 1 or 2, see how the marketplace works, and then we can look into launching a hero product on there and seeing what happens when they do that, and understanding it, and one product at a time, putting the focus in there. But the point is that you're thinking over the long term. What does this look like in 6 months, 3 years, etc.? And you have that holistic plan in mind as you enter the marketplace and understanding the repercussions. Like, how does it fit into your product development life cycle? All those concepts are extremely important. The second point, and this is one that a lot of brands fall into and it actually hurts your other channels, is protecting your brand and its prices. And they're kind of synonymous, because if you don't protect your brand, you don't protect your prices. And if you're not protecting your prices, you're not protecting your brand. And this is where you come with a map and MSRP. If, for example, you're jumping into Amazon, you have a lucrative listing there. Some distributors call you up, oh, I'm buying this for a retailer. They come in, they jump on your Amazon listing, they drop the map. You're fighting for the buy box. You keep on dropping prices. Your original price was $40, now it's at $20. Your retailers are getting pissed. Why is this being sold so cheap? Your retail rates are obviously getting mad, and then distributors no longer can afford to sell it to small mom and pop shops because people are seeing on Amazon for $20 and they have to sell it for $40. So this is a lot of the issues of what you run into when you don't protect your brand. You have a controlled channel distribution, you have a map, MSRP, all set in place so that when everything is aligned and you're going to Amazon with that mentality, and you're going in with, okay, I can't just set it at a lower price to get sales because that might ruin my Shopify website. So my customers are going to go there, they're going to be pissed, and they're going to just start looking for me on Amazon because they know Amazon is going to be a lower price. And understand how that looks holistically and you're protecting your brand image to your true customers and your retail relationships, of course. Understanding your financials. And this comes into two parts. There's a profit and loss, and then there's a cash flow statement. So profit and loss, Amazon fees are extremely tricky. It's not like 10 years ago where it's just a pick and pack fee and referral fee. It's much more than that. Now there's inbound placement fees. They just doubled those for 2026, actually. They just announced a week ago. There's AWD fees. There's LTSF, long-term inventory age surcharge fees. There's the same thing. I made a video on Amazon fees. I'll link it at the end, the hidden fees basically, but they're very tricky. And you think, oh, wow, I'm going to sell it for $100. I'm going to make $80 off of that, or I'm going to make $90. It's actually much more. Shopify, for example, is just a couple points, right, as a hosting fee. But then Amazon is a completely different place, a completely different playing game. There's reason for that. There's FBA, there's expenses, but just understanding the fees behind it, selling on Amazon and FBA is extremely important. And the second part is the cash flow statement. This is where a lot of brands also get confused. The Amazon pays its DD plus 7 plus 14 a lot of times. So it's delivery date. So let's say I sold this iPhone right here, right? I sold it today. Amazon considers it a transaction, not when I sold it, not when it's delivered, right? Not when the customer makes the payment. After it's delivered, they add 7 days to that. And then after the 7 days, it becomes legible as a transaction in your Amazon account. But then Amazon pays it every 2 week cycle. So if you just, the item, if let's just say it hit your balance the Friday and your disbursement was a Thursday, then you have to wait not the next Friday, the Thursday after that, sorry, to get your payment. So imagine how long that is. So if you're a brand that's growing, Amazon doesn't wait to pay you for ads. It's going to pay you at a continuous cycle, or it's not, and you're going to have to fund that inventory. So you run into extreme cash crunch, and that's where we support a lot of partners. Obviously, payment in advance, but the point is you have to be aware of the payment cycles for Amazon. And not only do they pay very late, but they also keep an account level reserve that's very high for newer Seller Central accounts. This is because there's a lot of fraud. So they keep a lot of money. They don't pay you everything that you sell. They keep it with them. If you close your account, you get it, but they continuously reduce this as you are more trustworthy over time. But they keep this in case something happens. There's a lot of chargebacks. You sold a scam. So that's called account level reserves. So understanding both of these concepts, understanding your numbers is extremely crucial. Prepping properly for your Amazon launch. Although I'm an extreme disbeliever in the honeymoon phase, whether it's like the mystical fantasies of it's a month or 3 months and all that kind of stuff, we're certain that Amazon, that's not how the algorithm works. It's based on conversion rate. However, I still believe it's important to prep your launch rate. You want to put out a good first image out there. You want to make sure that your listings are right. You put your copies in there, your premium A+ content, your images. You're having all the basic checklists of what a proper listing looks like in the first place. You have a strategy. You know you're in stock. You're prepping all the basics to make sure that you're launched, because that's where you can kind of estimate velocity for branded search. You can go to there's a lot of softwares out there. We have our own internal ones. We can go to Helium 10, Smart Scout. I'm not sponsored by any of them, but you can go to them and search if you're getting any branded search. So if you're getting lots of branded search, you're going to run out of stock immediately. So that's where you have to prep for your launch appropriately and make sure you have enough stock in there. Amazon ads are designed to take all of your money. This is a very important point. Amazon didn't engineer their advertising console to make you $1 billion brand, right? That's not aligned with its incentives. Its incentives are to make as much money as possible. So Amazon ads and Amazon AWS are actually the two most profitable revenue streams for Amazon as a stock. And AWS is winning now. They just had a huge stock earnings. But you have to understand that. And you have to understand that you have to be extremely concise or extremely careful when you're setting up Amazon ads. Auto campaigns, you want to limit them as much as possible. Using vague terminology. You want to be as granular as possible. I just made a video on top 10 PPC secrets where I talk about this. Also try to link it at the end of the video, but I think it's my video right before this one. But the point is that you have to be as targeted and as granular as possible with Amazon ads. Amazon has been extremely generous with data. They're making more and more available lately, to give them credit. There's brand analytics, there's SQP, search query performance. Make sure that you're leveraging this data. They actually just released AMC, Amazon Marketing Cloud, where you can build audiences. It's actually incredible. And now they're even adding other types of Amazon advertising, which is another point with DSP, which also huge leverage as well. The point is that you have to leverage this data as much as possible, and you have to have strong data teams just to be able to read these insights and read these data to be able to create and leverage your Amazon dollars to go as far as possible with Amazon advertising. So that's a very important point to keep in mind. Thinking from Amazon's perspective. I'll never forget this story. I was basically speaking to a very senior Amazon manager, a program manager, and he's like maybe 3 or 4 levels down from the CEO. And I was talking about some of my concerns. About one of them specifically I brought up was a suppressed featured offer. Like, how come on Amazon I can't price my product more when Amazon FBA fees cost more? He's like, yeah, sure, that makes sense, but that doesn't align with Amazon's priorities. Amazon cares about price, selection, and customer journey or customer experience. So kind of the same thing. So he's like, how do we have a good customer journey when they're going to Amazon or customer experience and they're seeing a cheaper price elsewhere? We're not going to promote that activity. Our priority is to ensure a proper customer experience. And I see a lot of other brands, they're so funny. They're complaining that Amazon is allowing resellers on their listing that obtain their product legitimately. Why wouldn't Amazon allow it? If their customer, if you're selling at $50 and the reseller is able to provide it for $30, the customer is getting at a lower price, that encourages additional sales. That aligns with Amazon's priorities, which is price, selection, having as much selection as possible, right? And customer experience. So you have to make sure that you align your priorities for Amazon that much as well. So you're having the appropriate selection. Selection is two ways. It's horizontal, but it's also more importantly vertical. You have enough in stock. Another important, like I'll talk about supply chain later, but they hate running out of stock, right? Because that's a poor customer journey. And it's also doesn't, Amazon wants their customers to find whatever is possible there. That's where actually a defensive strategy for a lot of brands that even though care about Amazon is let's get our listings up there before someone, they let a reseller get our listing up there and put crappy images and crappy stuff like that. That's why you have to understand that when Amazon has these three priorities, you're thinking how you can optimize for them, even though obviously, you don't want to lower your price and ruin your brand image. We already mentioned MAP and MSRP, but that's Amazon's priority. So if someone is able to offer your price for cheaper, or the competitor has a better customer experience, reviews or ratings, and a better price, they're going to organically rank him higher because he has a higher conversion rate. So that's why Amazon, for customer journey, their primary metric is CVR, so conversion rate. So you have to optimize for conversion rate, which is more important. And eventually, Amazon will get you more impressions because they know that a customer, if they're buying it continuously, they're having a good customer experience and there's a healthy customer journey that led from a customer seeing something to buying something, because that's what Amazon wants. They want the revenue to come in. Then they're going to promote you further because you continuously, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're continuously fulfilling their objectives of a customer coming in, obviously buying products, right? When you're doing, for example, let's say you have a consumable, when you're doing replenishments, they don't give you the ability to get subscribers. So that's another side point, is make sure you understand Amazon's terminology. So each marketplace has different terminology. For Amazon, they call repeat orders subscribers, right? So they don't allow you to get subscribers until you're at least 20 or I think 90 days in stock. They change it. They're playing around with a few things. Has to be subscription eligible because they don't want someone to subscribe and then it's continuously getting out of stock. That's a horrible customer journey, but it's also less revenue for Amazon because the repeat purchase date, let's say it was a month later, came in and they're not able to buy it. So then the customer's expecting it, they don't get anything. So it's a bad experience for the customer. So you have to make sure that you're aligned with that. You're doing everything to go along with those three principles. The seventh point, and this is arguably one of the most confusing one, is understanding the Amazon supply chain. I was speaking to a 20 million beauty brand that we work with. They were explaining how they're currently managing distribution for their MCF and how they're optimizing it based on locations. I was like, and they're able to ship everything all at once. I was like, for Amazon, it's very different, especially now with the inbound placement fees. They want you to ship to 5 different locations. Otherwise, you're going to pay a lot to ship to one location, then leverage it from there, and they charge a per unit fee. So understanding that the supply chain with Amazon is very complex. And even you can check, we have heat maps that check ensuring, for example, is a customer in California going to get it in 1 day or 2 days? And even if the customer in Nevada might get it in 1 day, the customer in California might get it in 2 days. So you want to make sure that we're 1 day shipping to all 48 major regions in the US. And that's just the complexity of Amazon FBA. Another example is this beauty brand, why I'm mentioning them specifically, is their products expire. So, okay, all we have to do is just put the products that expire in the front and other ones in the back. That's not how Amazon works. They do FIFO, first in, first out, based on a per warehouse location. So let's say a customer in Nevada orders it, right? And you have products in Nevada, but you also have products in New Jersey. But the New Jersey products, they expire next month. The products in Nevada, they expire next year. Amazon doesn't care. They're still going to take from the Nevada one. They're going to take the first in, first out from the Nevada one, but nonetheless, they're not going to take it from New Jersey because it's very expensive and it's a bad customer experience again to receive the products in 2 or 3 days compared to Nevada where maybe it's same day because they're there. So that's very important to understand the Amazon supply chain, align it with your, change your supply chain strategy accordingly to prioritize these concepts. That's what we did. We built a basically warehouse. We're shipping 20 to 30,000 units a week to Amazon warehouses, but we basically built our supply chain around that. For example, another concept is aged inventory, surcharge fee, LTSF. We understand that after 6 months, Amazon has a price break point. So we optimize for that accordingly. And then another one is like Christmas and holidays, 2 weeks, 3 weeks backlog, AWD. Some ones are less, sometimes are more. So it's not uniform and it varies, and you have to understand the complexities. And they're making it more complex, adding AWD, now AGL, which is a nice feature. But this is one of the more complicated aspects of Amazon supply chain. Make sure you study it very, very thoroughly. Otherwise, you can end up paying a lot. Or even another brand that's a nuts brand is like a lot of their customers are getting stale products because the Amazon warehouses have different temperature than their regular warehouse, for example, and they didn't accommodate for that, or they didn't accommodate for all those kind of stuff. So just ensuring that you understand how your products are going to be treated, even the boxes, right? They're used to putting poly bags. Amazon doesn't put poly bags, they throw in a bag that's box is empty, so making your product more durable. And that's why we worked with one brand that has this product in Walmart, right? It was a fancy packaging. We're like, well, no one's caring. They're not going to buy it they're not going to look at it. We can still keep the fancy packaging on the listing, right? But the actual packaging was more durable, more size compressed, right? We took it to accommodation, the AWD, and we want to make it as dense as possible and as safe as possible to make sure it doesn't get damaged, but to make sure we're saving a lot of money because Amazon usually charges on a density base, cubic feet they call it, and the standard size capacity is based on cubic feet. So all these concepts roll under Amazon supply chain, and that's one of the reasons Amazon's winning today is because of its same day and 1 day shipping. So obviously it's very complex and it's a huge value proposition for Amazon that allows it to win on other marketplaces and D2C because the customers love that same day or 1 day or 2 day shipping that no one else can compete with basically. The last but not least point, definitely not least, is compliance on Amazon. Understanding the guardrails, understanding that there's terms that you can use on your Shopify website that you can even use on TikTok. TikTok shop is like the wild, wild west. Especially this is comes in for vitamins, minerals, and supplement brands that use fat loss or that use these selling claims that are not allowed on Amazon. They actually de-index you. They either hide your listing completely, they shut it down. Worse, they might suspend your entire Amazon account, or they don't show you up for certain keywords. So you're not indexing for those keywords and not showing up at all, and unless someone types you in specifically. So you have to understand what terms are allowed, what promises you can make on Amazon. Not everything is allowed. And even interacting, like another one that we see a lot of brands fall into is they have a QR insert slip code that asks for 5-star reviews. That's not allowed either. Or collecting customer data, right? Oh, these are my customers. They're not your customers on Amazon. It's their customers. They make that very clear. So trying to collect customer data in slick ways, like give me your email, you get a warranty. Amazon knows about all that kind of stuff. So you have to be very careful and ideally, obviously, avoiding it completely when you're making sure that you're following Amazon TOS, terms of service, and their guidelines and being coherent with everything that they want. All in all, Amazon is one of the greatest growth channels your brand can have. It could seriously triple or double your sales of what you're doing right now. It has so much foot traffic. Customers are going there. They're not going to find it. They're going to buy your competitor. So you want to make sure you set it up, but you're setting it up right as a system and working with serious intention while you're there. That's what we help brands do at Voadera full time. Come check us out at our website, obviously. And if you found this video helpful, I promised the other video about Amazon fees. So come check that out. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you can continue seeing these videos.